Good morning. Breaking news for today. According to CNA News Asia, the headline is SIA Group records second consecutive annual loss after toughest year in its history. Right. It says Singapore Airlines SIA Group on Wednesday, May 19, posted its second consecutive annual loss after what is called the toughest year in its history, as passenger traffic plunged during the COVID-19 outbreak. There's a bit commentary on there. I don't think it just plunged. There's hardly anybody traveling at all at this period. And I can imagine it's probably the line of business that could still be strong or growing is the cargo business division, where goods and movement of goods going on around the world is still in high demand. Okay, back to another of its new statement. Net loss widened to record Sing dollar 4.3 billion for the year ended March, after being hit hard by the global travel restrictions brought about by the pandemic. So today our topic is how do we predict the future market of what to get in, what you should get involved in, or what you should invest in. All right, is there actually a way to predict the future? The simple reason is there's yes and no. Anyway, let's think of this in this yes method. Okay, let's imagine that we can predict the future. So these are some of the strategies too. First of all, try to identify before you want to invest in any business or invest in any market. Find out the reasons behind why you would invest in. Is it something that gives you a kind of like bliss? You're happy in this industry. It's something that you're passionate about. It might be something not necessarily that you know a lot about, but if you really like to do something about that industry, you'll find your ways to, and the wisdom, the inspiration to get involved in the industry. So that's step one. Practically speaking, as a summary, find your bliss. So if this is something you're passionate about, you're happy about, then it is something that the market that has a potential for you to go and invest in. Okay. Second part is as an analysis of 3 periods of time, although we are talking about the future, but not forgetting, look at the past, look at the present, before you look at the future. So the future has trails, or you can kind of like estimate it when you have a good analysis and do a research on the past. When we're talking about past, we can look in terms of the period of perhaps 10 years or moving behind. I'm a person who loves to study history. So sometimes when you move back far behind 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and you can see how things have changed over that period of time, it gives you that kind of a overview wisdom of how the future could be in the next 10, 20, 30, and 40 years ahead. Sometimes you don't really have to rely on all the best reports coming from all the major consultants out there with regards to this industry. Some which you can get for free, for sure, and some which they are highly expensive paid service. So yeah, that's the other way to kind of like have an idea how the market or the future is going to look like. I remember there was a time where about I think 2 years ago, we were about to invest in a private aviation refurbishment company. So you can imagine in terms of like home renovation businesses, where the service is to renovate home, beautify it, a bit like interior design. So the specialty of this company that we were interested in was in refurbishing private jets. The private jets and private aviation was a business that I was deeply passionate in. So we saw the potential. We look at reports, great reports coming out from the likes of Airbus and Boeing, and a lot of major aviation global market reports. So typically the industry was going to be doubling its size every 10 years approximately, and passenger air travel was just going to keep on booming and growing. So it was quite a promising industry to invest in. But unfortunately, things got in the way. We almost closed the deal, but there was family reasons, and somehow it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. A year or more reviewing back, because if we have invested in that company, aviation sector has been one of the worst hit sector other than the tourism and leisure or hospitality industry with regards to how the impact of COVID. So sometimes it's not necessary that you over rely on the reports, because the reports give you an indication, but it doesn't discount all the potential risks. And they probably never expected this pandemic to be such a real risk that has, I would say, overturned so many industries and so many businesses that have been affected to it. So that's step two, reviewing back the past. And part of it also next is to review the current present. So you may look at the business history, especially for the last 2 to 3 years, and also knowing what's the trend that's going on. For instance, right now in Malaysia, the first lockdown happened in March last year, March 2020. So you would expect the pattern of business may shift dramatically since the lockdown, because businesses aren't really able to operate as business as usual. So we would take that as a consideration in terms of like thinking once the lockdown is over, things slowly get back to business. And there are also reports saying that the boom is just around the corner once these restrictions and these lockdowns are over. So there's a few mindset to it. I do always believe in the optimism of the boom part. So you would think of that and consider that investment accordingly as well by taking calculated risk. Okay, so that's the reviewing of the present, and sometimes you will look further into detail if you're doing a further analysis. For instance, if you're purchasing a company, or you are kind to have a better feel or sense what the market is going to be like in the next short few years time, or even months down the road. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. So moving on to the third element, which is the element of being sensitive to the insights that you get. We all have that kind of inner wisdom, inner insights from reviewing data, and so usually I would like to advocate going with the feel-good factor of knowing what is generally good for the masses, what would people would be demanding. Generally, sometimes we ask questions, what would be the masses, or where would be a lot of demand? So it always gravitates to things which are good in life, which are more towards wellness, and something that you think can be in the industry or a business that you can create value to others that makes them much happier, much better off. So those are simple guidelines to know that, okay, these are things that will be likely to be demanded in the future. But before overemphasizing the fact that you are trying to create more value, more happiness for others, always remember the first fact, which is to make sure that you're doing something that creates a value to you and yet you're happy with it. So in another word, I like to follow the mantra or the motto, follow your bliss. So one has to come before number three. Okay, those are the 3 steps. I will summarize it again. First of all, follow your bliss. Find out what you really are passionate about or what makes you happy. Second part, do a review of the situation on the past, present, so that you can have an idea what the future is going to be like. Thirdly, identify, feel the flow of where the masses would be demanding, which is the aerodynamic. So have a feel, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner intuition of what's going to be demanded in the future, and go with the feel. So that's the main key summary for today. I hope you have some key insights of how you can help yourself and know which are the areas to invest your effort and your business in. And best of luck.